Your lesson essential question today is how do we use text evidence to talk about the story a poem tells? So you're going to be using text evidence, which is actual evidence from the text, to explain the story a poem tells. And you're going to be doing that on your own today with this text called The Brave Ones. And you can tell it doesn't have stanzas in it, but that's okay because it does still tell a story and it does still have some rhythm to it. So you'll be reading that on your own, and then you're going to be talking about the story it tells. But first, I want to talk to you about text evidence and about our short writing rubric. So text evidence is actual pieces of the text that proves your answer. There are some sentence frames that you might remember from last year that'll help you when you're using text evidence, because you don't just want to write the text evidence into your writing, you want to make sure that you're saying where it came from. So you might say, I know this because. You may say, the text says, or the author says. You could even use a picture or a photograph. Sometimes you might use a graph or a chart, and you can cite that. That's a part of the text. So you might say, the picture on page blank shows. You might say, I know because. From what I read, or on page blank, it says. And these are just some ideas. So I want to look at the poem Narcissa. I want to show you what my writing would look like using the rap writing rubric. And you probably remember this from last year, and you've seen it the past couple weeks. So when you're doing a quick write, there's a few things you want to make sure you include. One, you want to restate the question. Two, which is A, you want to answer the question. And three, you want to prove your answer using at least two details or examples from the text. That's your text evidence. So we're going to make sure we restate, answer, and prove. And that's how you get a 4 out of 4. So my question is, what story does the poem Narcissa tell? I have this poem Narcissa. Let's read it and then we'll talk about the story it tells. Some of the girls are playing jacks. Some are playing ball. But small Narcissa is not playing anything at all. So stanza 1, take a second. What is stanza 1 telling us? Stanza 1 is saying that all the kids are playing, but Narcissa isn't. Now I'm starting to wonder, what is she doing? Small Narcissa sits upon a brick in her backyard and looks at tiger lilies and shakes her pigtails hard. Tiger lilies are flowers. So she's sitting there in her backyard. It sounds like she's by herself looking at flowers, and she's shaking her pigtails. I'm wondering, what is she doing? So let's look at stanza 3. First she is an ancient queen in pomp and purple veil. Soon she is a singing wind, and next a nightingale. So I see that Narcissa's not just sitting there. It sounds like she's playing make-believe. How fine to be Narcissa, a changing like all that, while sitting still as anyone ever sat. So she's over there imagining that she is all these different things. So she's not just sitting there doing nothing. So the poem Narcissa, every stanza builds to tell more of the story. First we think she's doing nothing, but then we learn she's playing make-believe. She's pretending she's all of these things. So the question is, what story does the poem Narcissa tell? I want to first make sure that I restate the question. So I know that if I take out the question words, they'll help me restate. So story does this poem Narcissa tells. So I could turn that into the poem Narcissa tells the story about. So I've restated the question. Now I need to answer the question. A little girl who loves to play make-believe. Now I need to prove my answer with at least 2 details or examples from the text. So I'm going to use the sentence frame, I know this because. Okay, well, now this is when I go back to the text and I use examples straight from there. Over here it says that she pretends to be a queen in pomp and purple veil. I've taken that straight from the text and I've used it in my writing. So there's one piece of text evidence. The text also says that's my sentence starter for my next piece of text evidence. I'm going to use this piece, soon she is a singing wind. And this time I used the actual words from the text, so I put quotations around it. So my whole little paragraph here says, the poem Narcissa tells the story about a little girl who loves to play make-believe. I know this because Narcissa pretends to be an ancient queen in pomp and purple veil. The text also says, soon she is a singing wind. So that's how you get a 4 out of 4 on a short writing response. You're going to see these on your reading tests this year, and a lot of our assignments are going to be using this writing rubric. You're going to be using this rubric today and talking about the poem that we talked about earlier called The Brave Ones. So it looks like this. You're going to be reading it on your own, and you'll be answering the same question. You'll be telling what story does the poem The Brave Ones tell? And you're using this rubric to help you.